The midterm election of 2018 surpasses total votes of presidential elections in previous cycles. The midterm. And there's a ton of stuff that we have to talk about here on Raging Elephants Radio, your Texas network. Not what's going on necessarily nationally, but what has happened here in Texas over the last midterm. And I'm just going to tell you, it's going to take program after program after program after program, because the research that I'm doing on this, the drilling down that I'm doing on this, it's going to take a lot of content creation to give you the full story, the full breakdown. And as you guys know, nobody does the numbers like I do when it comes to Texas politics. There is absolutely no question about it. You know it. Even the big money media outlets do not do the breakdown like I do. And there are some numbers that we definitely have to look at. And let's begin to do that right now. Now, I think one of the things that we need to start at the top. Let's start at the top. The number of voters, period, in the Lone Star State. The growth is, I've never seen anything like it. And we need to find out how to attribute this growth. What is the cause of this unbelievable vote growth in the Lone Star State? And no, I can't say it's a Broward County, Palm Beach County finding votes at Avis Rent-A-Car in the trunk of a rental car type of situation, votes appearing out of nowhere. And Eugene Routh is an expert when it comes to ground game, and maybe he can tell us what he believes it is. But in 2018, a midterm election, I have never seen numbers like this here in Texas. In a midterm, 8.33 million votes were cast. 8.33 million votes were cast. In comparison to just 2 years ago, in a presidential election cycle, 8.97, close to 9 million votes cast in 2016 in Texas presidential election. So you're looking at just a 600,000 vote shortfall in the midterms, fall off, midterms versus presidential election. That's incredible. The midterm election of 2018 surpasses total votes of presidential elections in previous cycles. The midterm. My thoughts were that we were going to have a dramatic fall off like we usually do, presidential election cycle versus midterm election cycle. It wasn't that much of a drop off. My goodness, the number of votes, and yes, the majority of this vote growth was to the Democrats. Now you make this comparison from the 2010 first Tea Party election, the 2010 red wave, where Obama famously said he took a shellacking. The Democrats took a shellacking. Here in Texas, that 2010 Tea Party election gave Republicans literally a supermajority in the lower chamber of the Pink Dome. After that midterm election of 2010, the day after the election, Republicans were ready to take hold of 101 seats in the House of Representatives here in Texas and under the Pink Dome out of 150 seats. Unbelievable. Still having a struggle up in the Senate, but in subsequent elections, rhinos began getting ejected from the Texas Senate, and we began seeing a more conservative Texas Senate that was absolutely thwarted in this midterm. In 2010, total votes cast, number of voters that participated in the election a mere 4.98 million, just under 5 million votes. And so from 2010, just under 5 million, that's a midterm, 4.98 midterm, just under 5 million in 2010. The big Tea Party victory nationally yanked the gavel out of Nancy Pelosi's hands. To now, 8 years later, the 2018 midterm here in Texas, 8.33 million votes. If we believe that the Democrats who voted for Hillary back in 2016 were going to lay it home in 2018, boy, were we wrong. If we believed there was going to be a huge drop-off in voter turnout from 2018 to 2016 presidential to midterm, we were wrong. The Democrats came out in 2016 and they came out in force in 2018 here in Texas. Here it is again. In 2010, a midterm, just 2010 to 2018. So that means 2010 midterm, 2014 midterm, 2018 midterm. In 3 midterms, total votes cast 4.98 million here in Texas to 8.33 million. Where did all these people come from? Where was the GOP in its recruitment, its registering new voters? That's what it's got to be, right? All these Democrats rising up here in Texas. Is it the in-migration? Or is it generational Texans that just never voted before? What is the cause of this? And it's Democrat voters. Here's the numbers to prove it. In 2018, top vote getter for the Republicans, as anticipated, Governor Greg Abbott, 4.64 million votes for Greg Abbott. And the top vote getter for the Democrats, as expected, was Beto the Punk at 4.02 million votes. So in the governor's race, the Republicans got their number one vote getter, that was Abbott. In the Senate race, the number one vote getter, for the Democrats, it was their senatorial nominee, Beto O'Rourke, Robert Francis O'Rourke. Now make the comparisons to previous election cycles. Just 2 years ago, in a presidential election cycle, the number one vote getter was not Donald Trump. I have to remind everybody of this. When it comes to Texas, the top vote getter in 2016 was not Donald Trump. The top vote getter was Supreme Court Justice Eva Guzman with 4.88 million votes. So in other words, in 2016, Eva Guzman got almost as many votes as the total number of votes cast in the 2010 midterm. The number one vote getter in 2016 for the Democrats, expectedly crooked Hillary, with 3.88 million votes. But let's go all the way back once again to that seminal moment in American and Texas political history, the 2010 Tea Party midterm, when the Tea Party really showed its muscle and Republicans really showed or really took control. I mean, they really whooped up on the Republicans. In 2010, believe it or not, the number one vote getter for the GOP was Comptroller Susan Combs with 3.31 million votes, and the Democrat number one vote getter in 2010, the Tea Party election seminal moment, Bill White running for governor, 2.11 million votes. Combs over White in 2010 by over a million votes, 1.2 million more votes as the number one vote getter. In 2016, Guzman over Clinton, 1 million votes. And in 2018, Abbott over Beto the punk, 600,000 votes. But it's the growth, the absolute growth. In 2010, the number one vote getter was Bill White for the Democrats, 2.11. In 2018, Beto the punk, 4.02 million votes, almost a doubling of what Bill White just received just 8 years ago. Incredible. I lay the problem not necessarily at the feet of the individual campaigns. I lay the problem at GOP party leadership, because the party is responsible for messaging. The party is responsible essentially for getting out the vote, the branding of the party, and it's not good here in Texas.
What?